Utah Jazz Special on Season 2, Episode 1. Welcome one and all to the Season 2, Episode 1 of the Unofficial Podcast. I'm your host, Dallin Smith, and we got some stuff to talk about today. We actually got YouTube content, hopefully. Now, I think I figured out a better way to actually record this so that I don't have to mix my mic and everything and figure things out that way. I just figured out a way to connect my iPhone to my OBS, and we'll just record it this way, and it'll be fantastic. I'm going on a little too much about that. So I was going to do this like a super while back, but the issue came to be is that I am not as eloquent with dates and all that. I'm just not that good with stuff. And there were a lot of things with the BYU and the Broncos that were just super disappointing, and I just didn't really feel like talking about those things. So I was like, let's just wait. And then the Jazz season came up and the opener came and went. And I just never got to it because I just wasn't feeling it at those moments in time. So I do apologize for that, but it just is what it is. But in this episode, we're going to get you caught up with the whole season, all 14 or 15 games that they've played so far. We got 57 left to go. Be talking about Mike Conley's impact. We talking about Donovan Mitchell, how he's becoming, basically a superstar for the Jazz and being worth that $195 million that I was telling everybody that he was going to be worth and is worth. And how great the Jazz could be. Also, Jordan Clarkson's impact. I can't stress enough how much of an impact he's made. But we're going to talk about that as well. And instead of a question of the week for today, we're going to be just talking about the TNT crew last night with their weird comments about stuff at halftime and at post game and what have you. Because this is going to hopefully go up on the Utah Jazz Diehards Unite Facebook page, so that I could explain myself better. Look, I'm not the best typer when it comes to stuff with my takes and everything, and people get super confused, or because I do it too. Sometimes I just don't read things super well. So I think explaining them is just a lot better. So without further ado, folks, let's get right into it. We're not going to be sharing a ton of statistical things for the 15 games that were brought up. I'm literally just going to look up the scores and, just talk about certain stats that I remember. Let me move this up here because I almost knocked it actually off the desk. That would have been stupid of me. We're off to a great start for the second season. I got to tell you, folks. But the Jazz start off the season on the 23rd of December. They play the Portland Trail Blazers. We win 120-100. I think three or four guys, if I have to click into it, I'll click into it, whatever. No, it was two guys with 20 points. It was Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Bogdanovich had 15 points. Mike Conley had 18. Joe Ingles had 14. Clarkson had 15, and Derek Favors with 10. So he had 7 guys in double figures. And just to let you know, for this entire 15-game schedule, the Jazz literally will have 5 to 7 guys in double figures, most of the wins that I mentioned. And then we play against the Timberwolves and don't do so great. We lose to honestly a really bad Portland or Timberwolves team. 3 guys had 20 points, and again, 6 guys were in double digits. So even in a loss, it was 116-111. It was very good. Some good stat lines. Mike Conley had 6 rebounds and 4 assists with 20 points, and he was really good. Clarkson had 23. I think he shot a really high percentage in that game. I don't know. I tend to block out the losses. I'm going to be honest with you folks. Then the Jazz get a 1-point win on the road with Oklahoma City Thunder. Again, this one you had only 5 guys, but you had 5 guys with 20 points. You had Mike Conley, a near triple-double with 10 rebounds, 9 assists, and 20 points. Donovan Mitchell had 20 points, 5 assists, and 2 rebounds when he had... Got to back up. Rudy Gobert had 12 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. I mean, the Stars played good in that game. It wasn't like the best shooting night or anything, but they got the job done. Donovan Mitchell really struggled to start that game, but he ended up hitting the game winner. So you know what? We don't talk about the first parts of the game. Then we come back down to earth again. We lose to the Phoenix Suns 106-95. They really just kind of took it to the Jazz. You still had 5 guys in double figures. Donovan Mitchell with 23 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. I think this was probably the worst assist outing for him. Mike Conley had 16, 5 and 4, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Royce played very well, 8 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist. So, the Jazz just did well in that regard. Then we go to San Antonio. We go play the Clippers. We won 106-100. The Jazz held the 2 stars, and they only had 4 guys with double figures in scoring, and they held Kawhi Leonard to like a really poor shooting percentage. Same with Paul George. Until like the end. Mike Conley with 33 points, 7 assists, and 2 rebounds. Donovan Mitchell, 15 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. And we had 5 guys in double figures with scorings. I mean, Jazz could freaking score. I mean, you just, even like early in the season, when you could see that they're struggling a little bit. They're having some great outings as far as the offense is concerned. Then we play the Spurs. It wasn't even a contest. 11 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists for Royce O'Neal, 28 points for Bogdanovich, 7 points and 16 rebounds for Rudy Gobert. Donovan Mitchell with 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists. Mike Conley didn't have a single rebound, but he had 15 points, 4 assists. Jordan Clarkson, 18 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds. And Joe Ingles with 13 points and 7 rebounds. Again, you have 6. You had 6 guys in double figures. 130-109 was the final for that one. And then we go to the Nets. We go to the Nets game where they did not have Kevin Durant, but they had Kyrie Irving, and he went off on the Jazz. Like, he wasn't the highest scorer of the night, but he didn't miss. Jarrett Allen had 18 rebounds and 19 points, whereas I think that's a better stat line than most of our guys had. Donovan Mitchell had 31 points, 4 assists and 4 rebounds. Mike Conley, 8 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds. Jordan Clarkson with 12. Now, here's the thing. We had only 4 guys scoring double figures. They really just came out defensively. The Jazz scored 14 in the first quarter. I mean, if you look at the rest of the quarters, they played decently well, except the fourth. So, I mean, and they won the second quarter by 2 points, but they just got off to such a bad start that it just was not recoverable. Then we go to the Knicks game, and this was the only game really, even if we look at the Timberwolves game, they just kind of didn't have it, where this was a loss that they should have won, in my opinion. They had 4 guys in double figures only. We're up by a decent amount, and then the fourth quarter, they just let it go, and the Jazz lost 112-100 to a 8-man Knicks team, mind you. 8-man. 8 guys. So, just how the cookie crumbles, which sucks because at that point, we're trying to get above 500, keep the momentum going, and they just don't do it. Have their second road loss of the season. But the Jazz are 7-2, so right now, those are the only 2 losses they have on the road right now. The Jazz right now are on a 7-game win streak. It started with the Jazz Bucks. They win this game 131-118. They don't lose a quarter. They had Royce O'Neal, who had one of the best stat lines, I think, of his entire career, even with the double-doubles and everything he's had. He's got 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. Bogey had 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Gobert, even though he didn't have the double-double, the 9 points and 14 rebounds is really something. Donovan Mitchell, 32 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds. Mike Conley, 17 points, 10 assists, and 3 rebounds. Jordan Clarkson off that bench, 26 points, 2 assists, and 6 rebounds. And we have 5 guys scoring in double digits, 3 guys scoring over 20 points. You got a 30-point scorer. Giannis Antetokounmpo got hurt, but he came back into the game, and so far he hasn't really been having too much issues with the injury that he suffered that day. So it's been good. Then we go to the Detroit Pistons, and the Pistons, look, at this game, the Pistons are 2-7. And the Jazz are 5-4 coming into this game. So you think that they should just blow them out. Here's my take with that. I think really because the Pistons, I don't think they're necessarily what their record shows, especially then. They beat the Suns and came back down by like 20 to beat them. So I don't really think that this game should have just been won like handily. Like I knew that they would probably make a run just because they've done it before, and they've done it to a team that beat us. So it's, kind of a history repeats itself thing, and they just go ahead and they not beat us, but they came back. We're up by 17 at halftime. I think it was 60. Yeah, it was 60 or 57-40. We had a 17-point third quarter. It's the only quarter we lost. And you'll notice, especially in the 7-game winning streak, normally when we win, we lose one quarter. That's it. And then we close out 22-18. It was a very defensive battle, but I think that's the thing. Like, we're winning with our offense, getting to 5-4, now getting 6-4, playing offense, But this game, I think we finally realized how good of a defensive team we are and really just kind of took it to them defensively. Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell kind of held the grounds. So he was tied. So Donovan Mitchell only had 3 assists and 2 rebounds, where Conley had 6 assists and 5 rebounds. Clarkson had 18. He only had 3 guys in double figures, but they still figured out a way to win the game, which was pretty sick. So then we go to the Cavaliers. It was a 117-87 outing, and the Cavaliers aren't bad. They're 5-7, which in the East is actually pretty decent. But I think they had a ton of guys out, and so it just wasn't as easy for them to really score or do anything. Donovan Mitchell, 27 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Bogdanovich, 20 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Gobert had 10 rebounds, 4 points. Mike Conley, 12 points, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds. Jordan Clarkson, 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists. And Georges Niang had 14 points, 5 rebounds. Again, you have 5 guys in double figures and 3 guys with 20 points, which put them over the top. And they didn't really start well in this game, but they had a lead at halftime, a big one, and then they just blew them away. Now, this Hawks game that came up was pretty interesting because they won 116-92. Let's look at their star guy. He had 4 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds. He had 4 points. This dude averages, I'm actually going to have to look it up. I'm curious. Trae Young. There we go. Let's see here. We're going to just look at the stats here. For this season, he averages... Oh, come on. Well, he's averaging 30. He's averaging his worst minute, or second worst minutes of his career, but 24 points. Okay, so that's 20 points the Jazz did not give up to Trae Young, and they end up winning. They actually had 5 guys actually scoring double figures, but it wasn't their star guy. They just let everybody else beat them, which was really, really insane. 10 points for Georges Niang, 16 points for Jordan Clarkson, 15 points for Mike Conley, 26 points for Donovan Mitchell, 15 points for Rudy Gobert, 17 points for Bogdanovich, while Mike Conley had 8 assists, 4 rebounds. Donovan Mitchell had 4 assists and 3 rebounds. Gobert had 1 assist and 13 rebounds, and Bogdanovich 1 assist and 3 rebounds. Jordan Clarkson 4 assists and 7 rebounds. George Niang 3 assists and 6 rebounds. So they just really kind of took it to him. Then we kind of, I don't want to do that. I got out of all the games, man. Jeez, I need them stats, man. Come on, chop. Then we kind of fall back to earth a little bit. Not really. We still score 109 points. We went 109 to 105. Down 5 points at halftime to the Denver Nuggets, who took the Jazz out in the playoffs in the summer. They won this game, 109 to 105. I just said that. Sorry, it's been a minute since I've done the podcast, so if I babble on, I apologize. Bojan, 17 points, 3 assists, and 3 rebounds. Rudy Gobert, 15 points, 1 assist, and 13 rebounds. Donovan Mitchell, 18 points, 7 points, and 3 rebounds. Mike Conley, 14 points, 8 assists, and 3 rebounds. Jordan Clarkson, 23 points, 1 assist, and 3 rebounds. Jordan Niang, 11 points, and 3 rebounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys scoring double figures. Donovan Mitchell struggled in the first half. He had 2 points in the first half and then ended up getting 16, hitting 2 huge shots at the end of the game. He was actually brilliant in this game because he assisted on 7 points, and he really made it so that the team could get involved first, and then he just kind of took over at the end. Not really necessarily took over. He had a lot of turnover issues. He still kind of has those things to work out, but he really played special. So, I mean, it's one of those things that really, to me, makes him above what he was before, He doesn't have to necessarily rely on scoring in order to get the job done. But he's going to be scoring a lot in these next 2 games because the Jazz play the Pelicans and they won 118 to 102. I don't want to look at Zion's stats. Who cares about Zion Williamson? I'm just kidding. Joe Ingles comes back. He had a Achilles injury for a while. We still won without him, but he has made a huge impact since. He had 15 points, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds. George Niang, 10 points, 1 assist, and 1 rebound. Jordan Clarkson, 18 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds. And I've been looking at the guys with high points, but this one was interesting to me. Mike Conley had 6 points, 10 assists, 2 rebounds. He is the first Jazz man this season to do that. I think he's the only Jazz man to do that. I'm pretty sure because I just read off all the stats. So yeah, if I'm missing something, sorry. Again, haven't done this for a while. Plus, I'm running on not that much sleep. So. And when we got Donovan Mitchell, 28 points, 4 assists, and 7 rebounds. Rudy Gobert, 13 points, 1 assist, and 18 rebounds. Then Bogey, 11 points, 3 assists, and 7 rebounds. And Royce just threw in 6 points willy-nilly. You had 6 guys in double figures again. So, and the Jazz just took it to them. It was one of the higher rated games they actually had. And it wasn't their highest scoring outing. It was actually a pretty interesting game, but they played so phenomenal in that game. It was amazing. Now, last night, and I knew this was going to happen, the Jazz win 129 to 118. We only win by 11 after blowing them out by like 17. No, 16. 16. It was 118 to 102. My math's correct, which I think it is. We give 43 points in the first quarter, right? I'm pissed off. I'm thinking, man, this is going to be this is going to be our 5th loss of the year. We're going to be 10-5. No chance at like that first seed this early in the year. But they pulled it out. They were down 16. They got punched in the mouth, and then they went and showed the Pelicans who's boss. Here's the interesting thing. They scored 70 points in the first half. Pelicans scored 69, which is too much, in my opinion. But still, they came back from a 16-point deficit and took the lead. And took the lead at halftime. Didn't lose another quarter. Didn't lose the lead again. It was freaking awesome. Because here's the thing, folks. With the Timberwolves game earlier this year, the Jazz really just got hit in the mouth and didn't do anything. Like, it was one of those that's like, okay, like, you're as soft as last year. You guys suck. Like, it was ridiculous. But now it's like, okay, now we could prove that we could get hit in the mouth and come back and just put the pedal down with thriving force. I mean, it was just insane. Like the amount of turnovers they were creating on defense, getting to the bucket in this run in the second quarter, hitting their shots. I mean, the Jazz just poured it on in the second quarter. It was amazing to watch. I was super pissed off when we're going to lose this game to, yeah, I think we're going to be all right. We're going to win this game. They're going to come back to earth, and that's what happened. It's 100% what happened. We have 19 points, 0 assists by Jordan Clarkson, who, like, I'm not looking at any defensive stats. He was brilliant defensively last night in that second quarter. And people are like, he's not that good of a defender. I beg to differ. Look, Clarkson, and this is why I wanted to talk about him, and I didn't put him on my list, and I should have. This dude plays so hard every game. Every game. He plays harder than Donovan. He plays harder than Rudy. He plays harder than anybody on this team. Ends up with 19 points. Had a great defensive outing. Conley had 20 points, 6 assists, and 2 rebounds. Donovan Mitchell, 36 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Rudy Gobert, 12 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists. Bogey got his little stroke going back. He took a lot more inside shots, which I like to see that because you're struggling with your shot. Take some inside shots and get your points. He had 16 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. And Jordan Yang, 8 points. Joe Ingles, 8 points. The bench played super well last night still. You have 5 guys with double figures, but really that second quarter it killed him. And it was a brilliant game last night. I couldn't be more proud to be a Jazz fan last night. And there was some weird controversy. It was not really controversy, but it was, something to the degree of, just like storyline stuff. And I'll get to that at the end because, like I said, we're going to talk about that in a minute. So that's the recap of the season for up to today. That took me 20 minutes. Holy fetch. 20 minutes to do that, man. So this video is going to be 20 minutes because I like to do it in the segments. And so it's going to be like 5 videos or something like that. I'll talk about Mike Conley's impact next. I can't stress enough when he came here how excited I was and how disappointed I got right off the bat. Because here's the thing, Mike Conley was supposed to be this guy that helped us get to like a championship level. And he started out and really didn't do it. He really struggled in Mike Conley's, in Quinn Snyder's system, which again, it's a hard system to learn. It's a hard balance to learn because what he figured out this year is that he doesn't need the ball to freaking have an impact all the time. The dude is playing so well, and he's actually 4th in importance for any player in the NBA. Like, he is that important to the Utah Jazz. He's the most important guy on the team, according to those stats. And an interesting thing, it's not just the offensive side of the ball. David Locke, I listened to his podcast. Look, say what you will about him. I think Locke knows what he's talking about. There's an average defensive rating of like 110 that you get in the NBA. I think it's like the starting defensive rating you get when you're like ranking teams. I can't remember if it was Rudy or if it was freaking Mike Conley. But okay, so you start at 110 and you want to go lower, right? I think it was Rudy Gobert with 82.5 or something like that defensive rating, which is insane. It's the best in the NBA. And then you have Mike Conley Jr. He has like 85 point something. 85. And this is not just like pick and roll defense. This is just his defensive rating. Like, that's crazy to me. That he has that much of an impact, not only offensively, but defensively as well. The guy he's important to the Jazz. I can't stress enough how important he is. He's opening up lanes for Donovan. He's getting him the ball where he needs to. He's knocking down threes, walking up like it's nothing. It's just been crazy to watch. And I'm super happy for the guy because everybody ragged on him. Everybody's like, let's trade him. And we still get it today. Listen, I don't want to hear no more, let's get Kyle Lowry. Let's get this, and this for him. No. every player and every draft pick that we traded for Mike Conley was worth it for the playoffs and for what he's doing this year. Worth it, 100%. Okay? The guys that were on the team before were super inconsistent, never had like these crazy nights where he could just, he was great, but, could have like a 30-point night if he wanted to. Unless it was like a rare moon and the planets lined up. So, I mean, like, look, man, I get that there's a lot of good players. I miss Jay Crowder as much as probably anybody else does. But to have this on the team, get rid of anybody you need to, except Donovan and Rudy, of course. But like, get rid of anybody you need to. He's that important to the Jazz to me. And we're not going to make a championship run without him. So there you go. That's my take on Mike Conley's impact. And I just think, dude, really, if we're looking at it, not just defensive wise, not just offense wise, just all around, he is that important to the Jazz. So that's how I'm going to end it. Again, I'm blathering on because I haven't done this for a while, so I apologize. And let's talk about Donovan Mitchell becoming a superstar. Look, a lot of people are saying he's not a superstar. He is. Like, people are just like, he's not elite. He's not all that. Okay, I'm not saying he's elite, dude. Like, I personally do not feel like you have to be an elite player to be a superstar. You don't. The stat lines that I read to you, and especially like last night, there is a stat that shows that Donovan Mitchell and Gordon Hayward are the only two players in Jazz history to get 35 points, have 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in the same game. Donovan Mitchell has done that like 5 times. He's done it multiple times in multiple seasons. Gordon Hayward did it once. Okay? Now here's the thing. Not only is his assists really good for a guard at 6'1", like an off-ball guard who's not always passing the ball, but his rebounding is really good for a guard his size. Like, the thing about it is like, if you look at the rebounds, everybody's trying to rebound better this year. Everybody is. Like, you could just kind of tell when the shots go up that everybody's going for the rebound. But Donovan Mitchell especially. But he's always been doing that. Because he's always talking about, like, he needs to improve on his rebounding and his assists and everything. And I think he's gotten to that point. If you look up the stats, I looked up this crazy stat last night on Stat News. Donovan Mitchell and the late, great Kobe Bryant are almost identical offensive stat-wise in the playoffs. So, he's there, man. He's there. I think, I'm going to be real, I think he's taken that step. Like, he almost outdueled one of the best shooting players in the NBA in Jamal Murray, which it should have happened, but we're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna forget about that. But he almost did it, and he's the fourth youngest player or youngest player to score 50 points in a playoff game, and he is the fourth highest playoff game in scoring with 57 points. Which, again, like, scoring is one thing, but he does affect other stats. And we're going to get into that a little bit more when I get to the Shaq comments thing that kind of opened up. Look, he's a star. Rudy Gobert, he's a star. Like they're superstars. Like, Donovan Mitchell affects the offense. And yes, defensively, he has played much better defense this year. I'm not saying it's going to keep up, but it's like, dude, he's becoming that two-way player he's been saying he's wanted to become. So it's like anybody who doesn't say he's not becoming a star, in my opinion, or isn't a star, like, don't even talk to me. Like, he has become that. He has become that and then more. And he's worth that $195 million. Like, even at the beginning of the year, he would struggle, but he would still get his stats. Like, last year, he would struggle and just disappear. Now he's getting his stats. The Denver Nuggets game, he struggled so bad in the first half. And it's like, dude, we're still only down by 5. This is just how great this Jazz team is. And then he comes in 8 points in the third, 8 points in the fourth, has 2 huge shots. Jamal Murray disappeared in the second half. Stars don't disappear in the second half. Sorry, like, if you're, or the fourth quarter, if you're really serious that he's not a star, he's there in the fourth quarter and the second half most every game. And he's always getting his numbers. It's consistent. It is consistent that I know Donovan's going to show up at some point in the game, especially in the second half. So there you go with that. Jordan Clarkson, his importance. Just the fact that he comes in and boom, a 3 goes in automatically is just enough. But like I said before, I think this guy plays harder than anybody on the court. Defensively, offensively, he plays so hard however many minutes he's given. His motor doesn't freaking stop. I don't know how we played 15 games, he's not tired. Like in game, like before the game now. Because he plays so hard. He's diving on the floor for balls. He's attacking the rim when he needs to. Like, I think he slows down a little bit offensively because he's taking his time to get his shots. But defensively, holy. Like, he's active. Like, even if this guy's beating him, he's active in what he's doing. He's getting steals. Last night, he got a steal off an inbound play when the Jazz scored and got fouled. Like, that, to me, like, this is probably going to be the shortest segment of this entire thing, and I might just make it, like, Donovan Mitchell and Jordan Clarkson's video, but, like, dude, he is so impactful just because of the fact that he plays so hard. Like, honestly, yeah, he scores a lot, but what I notice is that most every time we're on defense, he's active, he's trying to stay in front of his guy, and when he gets beat, he's trying his best to recover and get back to the guy. So, I mean, that's what I want to see. I want to see players playing hard. Like, you don't see players playing hard all the time, but you see Jordan Clarkson playing hard. You see him playing hard, and it affects the whole team. Like, if the Jazz are struggling so bad, there have been times where the Jazz have struggled in the 7-game win streak, and they just put Jordan Clarkson in, and that energy is so contagious that the Jazz just freaking demolish. It's just incredible to watch. I love Jordan Clarkson. I love what he's doing. He's an amazing player. Okay, so the final thing, this is going to be a short podcast. Like, normally I have 45 minutes to an hour. I mean, it might hit 40 minutes. We're at 32 right now, so. Oh, do I not want to talk about this? I really don't. I really don't. Because, again, it's like, and there have been times in this podcast where I said, oh, I don't want to talk about this. And it seems like I do want to talk about it. Like, obviously, I want to talk about it kind of because I'm talking about it. But, oh my gosh. Let's talk about Shaq. Let's talk about the TNT inside crew, NBA inside crew for a minute. I didn't watch the halftime. I was going to get food. My son woke up and I had to take care of him. So, to be quite honest, I didn't watch the halftime. I've read numerous things about what was said, so I don't know how true they are. So I apologize if this take is a little bit messy, but I did watch the post-game one. The post-game thing, I'm not worried about that as much because it's just him saying, oh, I don't think you're an elite player yet. What do you have to say to that? And Donovan just said, whatever, I don't care. It was a great thing that he said. But let me tell you something about this, okay? That particular exchange was watched 1 million times just in the first 24 hours of it being recorded and put it on the internet. 1 million times. Okay? I've been a YouTuber for a long time, but since 2008, which not like just casual. Now it's like serious. You know what I mean? I can tell when somebody's clickbaiting you hard. When you're trying to just pick up views. When you're trying to just get ratings. My wife has a cousin that literally has a show and it's clickbaity stuff. Like, it just is. It's clickbaity. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. It is. Just from the titles and what they do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's clickbait. I know how it works. Because if you watch this thing, we'll talk about the post game first, I guess. I was going to talk about halftime first, but whatever. If you watch this or listen to Shaq's all like, yo, Donovan, I just wanted you to hear my feelings on how I don't think you're going to be an elite player. And he said it like, I don't want to say this, but like, I have to because that's going to get us ratings. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's the whole reason. I genuinely think that Shaq was just doing it to rile up Donovan. Maybe to get a controversial statement or something out of him. Or maybe he actually feels that way. I think that's to the lesser degree. I honestly do not think he feels that way. Just from how he sounded with it. And then when Donovan said he's like, what? That's not the answer I wanted. That's not what I wanted. It's like, dude, like, are you kidding me? Like, for real. You know what Donovan's about. You know what he's going to do. He's a humble guy. He's not going to sit there and go, well, proud out my chest and I'm the big guy and I'm going to do it. Gosh darn it. He's probably thinking that, but he's not going to say it directly. So the thing that bugged me about last night, and I'm on this forum the whole day, and I'm like, I am super sick of Shaq. Like, let's be honest. I'm sick of freaking Charles Barkley and Shaq. And Kenny Smith. Kenny Smith's just jealous, honestly. I don't know what he's jealous about. He took the Jazz out in 2 playoff appearances, won 2 rings. So you can shut up. But he said, if this is what I read that they said, if he ain't scoring, what's he doing? How's he impacting the game? He had 5 assists and 7 rebounds last night. Your boy Kobe never passed the ball. Never. Kobe Bryant averages around like 30-something points in the playoffs. 4.9 rebounds and 5.2 assists, I believe. Something like that. Donovan Mitchell is almost identical to that, like I said. This year, I think I mentioned maybe a few times where he's not at 5 assists. And when he's struggling, he's getting more assists than ever. So like, people are saying today, they're like, you're assuming that's what he meant. No, when you say when he's not scoring, how's he impacting the game? You're saying that his passing and his rebounding and his defense don't affect the game at all. I think his defense to a lesser degree affects this, but offensively, okay, he's getting assists, he's getting rebounds, he's getting like 3, 4, 5 assists a game. Okay, he hasn't had a game yet where he didn't have an assist in the game. Okay, so if that's the case, what are we even discussing here? Or are you just trying to get a controversial statement for views? Like honestly, and to piss off people. Like, man, like, I don't care what the media ever says, because you know what? They're not going to say a ton of good things about the Jazz anyway. ESPN and TNT, they don't say good things anyway. Their takes are so stupid. Like, they don't understand half the game. And I think some of them don't understand what it takes to compete. Like, they don't. Like, there was a one guy, what was his name? Ryan Hollis? Yeah. So when LeBron went to the Lakers his first year, this is when they didn't make the playoffs. This was the last time LeBron wasn't in the playoffs. He was like, it's all about the Lakers. That's what he said. It's all about the Lakers. But he didn't have anything to back it up. And it's rare that you get these guys go on there and say something smart. Like, their take is on on just what they think at the time. Like, I sat there last night for at least 2 hours researching these different stats. Look, Charles Barkley, points and maybe rebounds, he was effective. Shaq, points and rebounds. Not even free throws. And maybe defense, he was effective. So come on, man. You can't just say, oh, if he's scoring, what's he not doing? There are 2 plays against the Pelicans that he got on NBA top 5 for, and they were both when he passed the ball. That crossover, that insane crossover last night, man, I hope those guys' ankles are okay. Or that guy's ankles are okay. And the freaking, this pass, I had to watch it like 5 times last night. Because I have never seen a player do this. Like, he knows where these players are going to be. He knows where Bogdanovich is going to be. He got caught in the middle. I didn't even know Bogdanovich was there. And Donovan's like, passes out to him like it was nothing. 3-pointer goes in. Like, yeah, he's super ineffective if he's not scoring, guys. Like, come on. Like, if you honestly think that, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're thinking wrong. Like, you're wrong. Like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're not right. And that's what was bugging me about being on the forum, because I was saying, look, I never said he was an elite player. Let's get this straight. I never said through this segment that I'm pissed because he said that Donovan's not an elite player. Even though I think he is. That's fine. That's my opinion. If it's not your opinion, whatever. I don't care. And if you think my head, some guy said that your head's in the clouds if you're thinking that. Fine, my head's in the clouds. I don't care. That's my opinion. I think he's an elite player. He took the corner in the playoffs. It's basically like his 5th year in the league, even though it's technically his 4th. He's taken that corner. He has. Sorry, like, I just seen it. I've never, that's the thing I got excited about this year with the Jazz, is that, like, even though we didn't beat the Nuggets, I knew the Jazz were going to be good. They played so well against them. Without Bogey. Without the second scorer, a guy that was averaging 20 points a game. And they were still keeping up with him. Not defensively, but, and I didn't even think defensively they would pick it up. I was like, dude, this is going to be a 3-seed team at best, probably, for the Jazz. But they could go higher. They could go 2. They could go 1. They could go 3. Easily. Just because of how good defensively they're playing and how good offensively they're playing. Look, last night they scored 31 points in the first quarter but gave up 43. Okay, what do you do when you're getting kicked around? You make them score 26 and then you score 13 more than them, which was 39. Like, for real, that's a great team right there. I think just that quarter, just those 2 quarters, you could just look and go, well, the Jazz are a good team. They're a great team. And I'm getting off topic, so I'm sorry about that. But look, man, that's the whole thing. I just, and I've watched some YouTubers that have watched these people like me give takes, I try to be as smart as I can. I try to be as informative, and I try not to say anything stupid that I don't really believe. I've said this before, if I give a hot take, I honestly believe it. And a hot take that I have is Donovan Mitchell is an elite player in this league. He is. Okay? My head's in the clouds. Fine. I really don't care what you have to say about that. If you really think that my head's up in the clouds, fine. Fine. I don't care. If you don't think the Jazz are a great team, fine. Fine. That's my opinion. And unless something drastically changes, which I don't see it happening, because the Jazz are getting so consistent now, and they've been consistent actually all year, even though they've lost a couple games they should have won. You know, they're getting 5, 6, 7 guys in double figures. I think the highest they've had is 7, but 5, 6, 7 guys in double figures. And I think it was like 3 or 4 times you had 3 guys with 20 points or more. And then there's like 5 or 6 times where you've had them twice with 20 points or more. I'll annotate this in the video if I'm wrong, but you know what I mean? Like it's just, I don't know how you can argue with that. You can't. Like, you can't do it. So for me, just whatever, Shaq, whatever, Barkley, like you guys are just saying it to get views. Like, I'll admit, I like watching the TNT broadcasts. I think they're way better than ESPN. I think the pregame is way better than ESPN. I think they hired a lot of good people on there. But last night is just like, dude, come on. And then it's like he said, I just wanted you to hear my take. It's like, okay, like, what do you want Donovan to say? You just want him to say, well, I'm one of the best players in the league. He's not going to do that. I'm sorry, he didn't bite for your garbage. And people are like, well, it wasn't that bad. No, it wasn't that bad, but it's like, dude, what was the point of that? There's no point. And there's no point to the halftime thing because you're wrong. I'm sorry to tell everybody, but if you think he's just impactful with just his scoring, you're wrong. He's also impactful with his turnovers. I get that. Where he kind of helps the teams out a little bit. But he's not just impactful with his scoring. And people are saying, well, Donovan should be the second or third option. No, come on. He went 5 for 6 in the first quarter with 13 points. Nah, that's first option stuff. I get where you're coming from because he had a couple of games where he struggled, but he ain't doing that no more. He's focusing. I think he's dialed in. And that's the thing. The only thing with this season, though, is like we haven't played. Oh, we played some good teams, beat them. We beat Portland. We beat OKC. We beat we beat Milwaukee. We beat Denver. We've beaten some good teams this year. So it's not just like we're off to a good start playing crappy teams. Like, there are a lot of crappy teams that they're playing, but they're not losing to really crappy. Like, they're not losing to like the worst of the worst. They lost to a really legit Brooklyn team. They lost to a really, kind of legit, maybe playoff contender Knicks team. They should have beat the Timberwolves, which they're garbage. And who was the other loss? I have it in front of me. I should just look it up. Timberwolves and the Suns. And the Suns are legit. And they only lost by 11. And I think the next game they'll beat them. And people are like, well, what are the Jazz going to do when a defense is playing physical? That defense they played last night, the Pelicans, was physical. And it was quick. And the Jazz responded in just a quarter. So look, man, like, this is a great Jazz team. And again, another hot take. Right now, as of right now, this is the best team in the NBA. Number 1 best team in the NBA. And you have one of the best players on the team in Donovan Mitchell. And you have another really good player in Rudy Gobert. You have another really good player, Mike Conley. You have another really good player, Jordan Clarkson. You got 4 really good guys, and you got a guy who can make it no matter what. I think his progression with his wrist has been going a lot better than I thought with Bogey. So look, man, Jazz are a great team. Donovan Mitchell's efficient. Donovan Mitchell is an elite player, in my opinion. And Shaq, come on, dude. Like, I understand where you're coming from, but seriously, there was no point to what you were doing last night. So, whatever. Let's go ahead and go into the games, and technically I'm going to have to go preview a few games till Sunday. So we got 5 games we're going to be looking at, and I'm already pretty close to like 45 minutes. So we might hit an hour on this one. I never have done that before. That'd be kind of exciting. We got the Warriors tomorrow. I think the Jazz, it'll be a closer matchup than people think. I think the Jazz are going to win this one 115 to 112. Then the Knicks pull into town on Tuesday. I think the Jazz will win this game soundly. I think they won't come out and play like they did the other night against them. I think the Jazz win this one 118 to 102. The Mavericks, you get them twice. I think it's going to be a little more difficult than the Pelicans, let's be honest. Let's look at the standings. Mavericks are 7-7, so I'm just going to go with my gut. I think the Jazz are going to dominate both games again. Like 129 to 110 will be on Wednesday. And I think 117 to 100 will be Friday. And then we play the Nuggets again in their hometown Sunday. I think this one will be close again too. I think the Jazz win this one 110 to 105. That's it for this week. I'll try to do these more regularly. Again, I just kind of lost interest, but I think the Jazz get my horsey going, kind of, pique my interest. That's my word that I use, or my sentence I use. So anyway, folks, I will see you next week. Hopefully, we can get the YouTube content and all this other stuff out there for y'all. And again, I'll see you next week.